All right, welcome to Government Review Part 3, the Judicial Branch. Again, we got our title slide in to show the different branches of government. Hopefully these pictures will allow us to keep that straight. All right, getting into a little more serious stuff when it comes to the judicial branch. I want to make sure that we notice the seal with the three arrows. And we know those three arrows deal with our state motto, or our state flag motto, which is wisdom, justice, and moderation. So make sure you remember that for the CRCT. The judicial branch has responsibility of interpreting the law based upon this document here that we call the Georgia Constitution. Pay attention to what's in red here. A Supreme Court judge is allowed 6 years for his or her one term. So if they have 2 terms, obviously it's 12 years, so that's a little bit of difference. Also, like we said, these judges use the Georgia Constitution to decide if a law is constitutional or unconstitutional. If a law is unconstitutional, then they throw it out. In the judicial branch, we have 2 types of courts. We have the trial courts, and the definition is people's actions or intentions are measured against the law, and judgments are made by a jury or by a judge. The next type of court, can somebody tell me? It is our appellate courts. So, I can get my computer to cooperate. The appellate courts review judgments made by trial courts, and they look for mistakes by trial courts. There are no juries when it comes to the appellate courts. And we actually have 2 types of appellate courts in Georgia: the Georgia Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the state, and the appellate court itself. So 2 types of appellate courts: the Georgia Supreme Court and appellate courts. They don't look at guilt or innocence. They look to see if if the trial court actually made a mistake. The judicial branch trial court. So we're going to break trial courts down even farther. We have civil cases. The plaintiff is the one who complains about another person or a group. The defendant is the person who supposedly done something wrong, and the only punishment is to pay money. It's never jail in a civil case. The next type of trial court is the criminal case. The government is called the prosecution. The person accused of breaking the law is called the defendant. And you have 2 types of criminal cases. You have a misdemeanor criminal case, which means you can get up to 1 year of jail time. A felony is a more serious crime, and you can get 1 year or more of jail time. Now, a mediator is a third person who has no interest in the problem, helps the 2 sides in a conflict come to an agreement or resolution. For instance, when you fill out a grievance form here at the school, normally it's a teacher that gets involved because he or she is not has no interest in the problem. They really don't care what the problem is and why you're having a problem. They just want to help you solve the problem. Now let's look at a couple of questions here. The judges in some of Georgia courts are selected in partisan election. Partisan means, and I'll give you a few seconds. Now, if we're using the process of elimination that we would use when we're going into the CRCT, we could go ahead and mark these two answers out because we know that partisan has nothing to do with a country. It has to do with a political party. And if you were to have chosen letter B, associated with a political party has to do with a partisan election, you are absolutely correct. So good job. Which of the following is characteristic of an appellate court? The appellate court actually looks over decisions made by other courts, so the correct answer is D. In a civil case, the defendant is accused of having wronged another person. The person who makes this accusation is called the person is actually called the plaintiff. Remember, they're complaining that somebody has done them wrong. Which court and its jurisdiction are matched correctly? And the word jurisdiction is kind of the area that a court handles. So I'll give you another couple seconds. All right, let's look here. Let's mark out some ones that we know are incorrect. We know juvenile court has nothing to do with adults. We know probate court does not handle appeals. We only have two types of courts that handle appeals. That is the appellate court and the Georgia Supreme Court. So we know that's not right. So the next the two that we have left, magistrate court, search warrants, and state court, marriage and firearm license. And the correct answer is actually A. Magistrate court deals with search warrants. So we might not have talked about that, but put that down on your notes if you did not know it, so that you can make sure you remember it. So that wraps up Georgia Review Part 3 and the judicial branch of government. Hopefully these videos have been very informative for you. I know I've gotten some great feedback from them, and now since I'm using this wonderful royalty-free music, it will help me. So stay tuned for the next video.